I'm Wilfredo Aguilar, and I have a lot of ties not only to the church here in Dixon, but the Presbyterian Church in northern New Mexico. My uncle, Luis's dad, was my mom's older brother, and I have a lot of memories of this congregation, this church, and the basement where all the toys were held. But I want to take you a step further back, and if the history's correct, if my memory is correct, give you a little insight as to my family. My grandpa Amador Romero was Catholic in a little village in nearby called El Valle on the Rio Las Trampas. And my mom told me the story that at one time they used to fill up the entire first pew with the family. My grandpa was a mayordomo in the village and had a position of stature. But at any rate, she says, one day out of the clear blue on a Sunday, we left in the middle of Mass, walked out, and never went back. Well, if my memory serves me correctly, by that time, a new pastor had come in from the Trucha side of things, and a new padre, to tell my grandpa that the boys would not be going to school any further than the 8th grade. At the time, Peñasco public schools were being run by the church and the nuns. The nuns were the teachers, and but the padre said that the boys would not be going to school any further than the 8th grade. And my grandpa says, why? He says, you cannot afford to send them to Santa Fe, to San Miguel, St. Mike's. And my grandpa shoved it off. You know, he had a small store. He had a small sawmill. He had his boys working in the field. My grandpa was fairly well off at the time, you know. And the padre says, and your daughters, my tia Cande and my mom, Cordelia, could not go to Loredo, Santa Loredo in Santa Fe at the time because and that was a boarding school for the girls because there was no room. And but there was, you know, the Presbyterian missionaries were pretty strong in this area. Were coming in from the Truchas and Chimayo side, and that's how they got involved with the Presbyterian Church. My grandpa and grandma were Presbyterians up until the day they both passed away. And as I said earlier, my tio Porfirio, the older one, became a Presbyterian minister. But in Peñasco, the church was built and established in the early 50s, and my mom still, you know, would always tell us a story that the big church was in Chamizal. The big congregation came from Chamizal, and up until recently, Chamizal was a viable congregation and church, and most of them now are involved with the church in Peñasco. There was also a small church up in Llano de San Juan, and that was a real small church. So they just recently, you know, within the last, I would have to say the last 25, 30 years, have combined and consolidated, and now we're an elderly congregation in Peñasco, and I would think that maybe we're in the neighborhood of 40 regular parishioners, and we get an influx of summer tourists that come down from Tres Ritos that support us, and you know, we would probably look down the lines at some point and consolidate with maybe Dixon and you know what's going on in Truchas and Chimayo, and we're a dwindling congregation. But at any rate, we appreciate the work that's been done here in the north through not only the Presbytery but through real strong Presbyterians, and I'm very proud to be one of them.